So how do you know when you have a strong name? Now here's the issue that people run into is a lot of times they come up with a name, they start getting logos made, they start purchasing website domains, and they realize later after speaking to an attorney that the name they're trying to trademark isn't trademarkable, has a very low likelihood of being approved by the USPTO. So in general, the more unique or arbitrary a name is, the more likely it is to be accepted. And the more common or generic a name is, the least likely it is to be accepted. So if I'm selling you a hardwood floor cleaner and I just say, and I just call it floor cleaner, it's not going to get approved, right? Because it's so generic, it's just describing what the product is. Or if I sold you soap and I just called it soap, or I called it, clean soap or clean hands or something, right? It's describing what the product is. And in general, when you're either using a generic term or describing that term or describing what the mark is or the product or service is, then it has a low likelihood of being approved. Now, what has a stronger likelihood is something that's not generic, and is something that is unique and arbitrary. So like made up words, for example, that don't mean anything, have a strong chance of being approved. So you just come up with like, I don't know, it could mean like Shuba or something, right? And that doesn't apply in any way to the product or service you're selling. Other things are, you can use a common or generic word if it's unrelated to the product. For example, Apple computers. Now, Apple by itself wouldn't work if you were actually selling apples, but it works when you're selling computers because the two are not commonly linked things. So those are kind of things that can help you. So now when you're coming up with a name for a mark, before you get your logo made, before you buy that domain, think of what is, number one, a word that doesn't even exist, that doesn't mean anything, that has a stronger likelihood of being approved, or something that's unrelated to the product. If it's, like I said, like Apple computers. But the other thing is, if it's descriptive, it's kind of like 50-50. It may or may not get approved.